Alright, so today we're going to be going over Ribombee, which I am so excited about because it is actually fast. It is one of the few non-legendary Pokemon from Generation 7 that's actually going to have some speed on it. And apart from that, its stats actually aren't that stellar. It has decent enough special attack, but other than that, it's pretty frail and its physical attack is just nothing that's usable. As far as its topping goes, Bug Fairy is actually a pretty decent flying because pretty decent topping because even though it has weaknesses to moves like flying type moves, it has a weakness to poison and steel. It resists 5 types plus it has an immunity to dragon, so it could actually be very useful depending on what the meta forms to be and what the most common toppings are. As far as abilities go, it gets Honey Gather. I didn't even bother to put Honey Gather on the slide because it's completely useless in competitive play. It at least was in Generation 6. It may change in Generation 7, but I really doubt it. Shield Dust is probably what I would run on it more often because that reduces secondary effects such as paralysis from a Thunderbolt, such as confusion from a Dynamic Punch. I've actually had that happen versus a Dustox before. But other than that, I believe it's ultimately the better ability of the two because Aroma Veil only prevents sleep, so Shield Dust seems to be better. So the set I have for this Pokemon is Focus Sash with Modest Nature because it has enough speed to get by, but I think it needs as much power as it can get. So that's why I gave it max special attack and max speed otherwise. So Quiver Dance is obviously the best move to put on this Pokemon. I absolutely love Quiver Dance. It's my favorite move because I believe it's the only boosting move, not counting the new Z moves, that gives you a boost to your offense, your defense, and your speed. And I think that's absolutely amazing, especially if your opponents run out of physical attackers, because then you can just set up and set up and set up. So the coverage I decided to go with it was either Pollen Puff or Bug Buzz, Moonblast, and then either Energy Ball or Psychic. So obviously Moonblast is an egg move, it's there for stab, and it's the most powerful fairy move that you could put on this Pokemon. Pollen Puff and Bug Buzz are in effect the same move. Bug Buzz is actually better because it has the additional effect of possibly reducing special defense. But I really like the idea of Pollen Puff because it's actually a new move. It has no other uses that I could see in single battles, but in double battles you can actually use it on your teammate to heal them instead. But other than that, it's a base 90 special bug move. And then for coverage, I think Psychic would be the superior move because with the introduction to Salazzle and other poison types, it would completely resist you if you decided to run Energy Ball. But since you'll have Psychic instead, you could really take advantage of that in the early meta because everybody is going to be wanting using Salazzle or something like that because they're so powerful and they're actually really good looking Pokemon. So other moves I thought I would throw on this Pokemon were Screens. It learns dual screens and it doesn't have such a bad weakness to Stealth Rocks as other generational bugs. Aromatherapy is also there because statuses, however you prefer to say it, seem to be very common in this generation, especially toxic. So being able to get rid of that would be very useful. Also, it learns Calm Mind, which normally is useless if you have access to Quiver Dance, but you could run Calm Mind alongside of Baton Pass, which it's illegal to Baton Pass the Quiver Dance, but you could Baton Pass special attack and special defense buffs to something that could utilize them better in case this Pokemon Ribombee were to get completely walled. And why I think Focus Sash will be so good is because of all the changes that Priority is going to have in this future generation. Because although there are going to be more Pokemon with different Priority moves, Priority is going to be completely useless against some Pokemon, such as Bruxish, whose ability completely nullifies any kind of Priority. Along with that, Talonflame only gets Priority Brave Bird at full health. So those two things make me think that Priority moves will be much less common in the meta as the game forms, and so Focus Sashes will be a whole lot better once the game comes around.